So, okay. Etavataha, so far, alam, unnecessary. Nanu, if at all, shuchitena, by description, gudhi, by attributes, asamya, immeasurable. Anati shayanasya, of one who is unexalted. Hitvaha, leaving aside. Itaran, others. Prarthayataha, of those who ask for. Vibhutihi, favor of the goddess of fortune. Yasyaha, one whose anghi, feet. Renum, dust. Jushate, serves. Anabhipso, of those who is unwilling. Etavatala nanu shuchitena. Now it is completely ascertained. What it is ascertained? What is the description? That Lord's qualities, attributes, gunai asamya. Gunai asamya means immeasurable qualities. Anati shayanasya, unexcelled. And nobody can equal it. Leaving aside all these things, what they are doing, they are not able to speak about him. So unnecessary talks they are doing. Leaving aside, glorifying Krishna, these others, what they are doing, they are not able to speak about him adequately. Great demigods cannot obtain the favor of the goddess of fortune even by prayers. That has been given. Vibhuti, favor of the goddess of fortune. Who is asking this? The demigods are asking favor, but they are not able to get. And what is she doing? What is goddess of fortune doing? Lakshmi is yasya angrihi jushate anapsiho. So what she's doing? She is serving the lotus feet of Krishna, and everybody is asking her favor, but she is completely surrendered to the Lord and always asking for the service, and she's serving the Lord's lotus feet. Now, in the previous verses, also Sutta Goswami, he started with, what did he start with? We are born in the mixed caste. Sutta means where mother is a Brahmana, father is a Kshatriya. Generally, it is said the girl should go to the higher caste or equal caste, but not to the lower caste. And if she goes to the lower caste, that is known as mixed caste. So, though we are coming from the mixed caste, what a fortune that I'm going to glorify about Krishna's attributes to Brahmanas. Actually, Brahmanas are asking glorify Krishna's attributes. So, to glorify Krishna's attributes, you don't need to be a Brahmana. Even if you are a low born, you can glorify Krishna's attributes. That has been given. Now, very clearly it has been said in this verse, that is 19th verse, 20th verse, Etavatalam Namushuchitena. Nobody can even compete with Krishna. There is another meaning for this. Nobody can compete with the glories of Krishna. Now, Brahma, they are asking goddess of fortune's mercy. She ignores all of them. She is ignoring everyone and she is serving whom? The lotus feet of Krishna. So in this way, Lakshmi, she is having the desire to serve Krishna. There is no other desire except this. Okay. So why Sutta Goswami is speaking this verse? To make all of us understand that nobody can compete with the attributes of Krishna. Even though you may show some favor to goddess of fortune, oh Lakshmi, I will do this time, that thing. She is not interested in showing any merciful glance to anyone, except for those who are serving Krishna. Indirectly, this is the meaning. She is rendering service to the lotus feet of Krishna. Naturally, she is interested only in the devotees. She is not interested in those who are having material desires. This is the indirect meaning of this verse. So nobody can compete with the qualities of Krishna. Though Ravana tried to take Lakshmi with him, but Lakshmi did not show any favor. He tried to make her the queen of Lanka. Nothing happened. So she will not favor those who are not devotees, because she herself has no interest. Even Brahma and other demigods, they are asking for her favor. In one place, she has shown some favor to Brahma by giving the knowledge of Krishna. That is why Malola Narsimha. The Malola Narsimha, there is one Narsimha which is known as Malola Narsimha. Malola. Ma means mother. Lola means one who has given the knowledge of Narsimha to Brahma. Malola. So in some places, she shows mercy if they're interested in knowing more about Lord. Or else she is not interested in even having a glance to these demigods. Okay, Aruna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The personality of Godhead or the Parameshwara Parabrahman, according to the Shrutis, has nothing to do. He has no equal, nor does anyone excel him. He has unlimited potencies, and his every action is carried out systematically in his natural and perfect ways. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is full in himself, and he has nothing to accept from anyone else, including the great demigods like Brahma. Others ask for the favor of the goddess of fortune, and despite such prayers, she declines to award such favors. But still, she renders service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although he has nothing to accept from her. The Personality of Godhead, in his Garbhodakshayi Vishnu feature, begets Brahma, the first created person in the material world, from his navel lotus stem and not in the womb of the goddess of fortune, who is eternally engaged in his service. These are some of the instances of his complete independence and perfection. That he has nothing to do does not mean that he is impersonal. He is transcendentally so full of inconceivable potencies that simply by his willing, everything is done without physical or personal endeavor. He is called, therefore, Yogeshwara, or the Lord of all mystic powers. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So why is Lakshmi ji serving the dust of the lotus feet of Krishna? Because she is also eager to have these qualities. She also wants the qualities of Krishna. She is so impressed with the qualities of Krishna. That is what we should desire. Oh Lord, give us your qualities. Any of we are sons of Krishna, daughters of Krishna, sons and daughters of Krishna. He is our Paramprita. So we can have his quality. What is the most wonderful quality of Krishna? In Ramayana, very nicely it has been described. Rama does not forget even if a small thing done to him. Isn't it? So that is the greatest quality of Krishna. Even if you do a small thing to him, he will not forget. Niha vikramanashosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpamapyasa dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. And he has such a forgiving nature. He doesn't mind anything. Bhrigu comes, kicks his chest. Lakshmi gets angry, runs away from there, goes in angry mood. But Lord is not angry. Lord does not have any small pride. He can become smallest of the smallest. Though he is beyond everything. He is the greatest person, supreme person. But he can do all the menial tasks. He loves to reside in the heart of the devotees. So Lakshmi ji, when she sees such compassionate, nature of Krishna, she is also desiring that quality. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he appears, what is he taking? He is taking the mood of Srimati Radharani, who is more compassionate than even Krishna. Now see, who is Lakshmi ji? She is expansion of Radharani. And Lakshmi ji wants the nature of Krishna, and Krishna wants the nature of Srimati Radharani. Who is the most compassionate? And that is how the nature of the devotees should be. They should be more compassionate. 21st verse. अथापि यदपादनकावतुष्टं सृष्टं जगद्विरिञ्चोपहृतार्हणाम्बः शेषं पुनात्यन्यतमो मुकुन्दात् को नाम लोके भगवत्पदार्थ अथापि यदपादनकावसृष्टं जगद्विरिञ्चोपहृतार्हणाम्बः शेषं पुनात्यन्यतमो मुकुन्दात् को नाम लोके भगवत्पदार्थः अथ. Therefore, now the conclusion is what? Therefore. Now, what did Brahma do? Brahma collected the water. Pada nakaha avrishtam. From the nails of Krishna, the water emanates, that is Ganga emanates. So Brahmaji, because he's so attracted to have attributes of Krishna. He also wants attributes of Krishna. So what is he doing? He's trying to collect the dust. From where? From the water. From the water which emanates from the nails of the feet. So he collects that and gives it to whom? To Shiva. Shiva comes from his Brukuti. So technically Shiva is like his son. So naturally what the father will do, he will award to his son the wonderful, wonderful gift. So the most wonderful gift is Gangaji. So he says, keep the Ganga in your head and take. Means, what is the meaning? Take the dust of the lotus feet of Krishna. And this is how Ganga is purifying the whole world. Punati. This Punati Jagat. So she is glorified, she is purifying the whole universe. Anyatamaha, who else? Mukunda kaha nama. Who else can have this name? Mukunda. Mukhara Kundavati, whose face is like Kunda flower. That is why Mukunda. Such a beautiful face. Who else can have such beautiful name? It is only Krishna can have. Only he is worth to have this position. Loke Bhagavat Pada Artaha. So the position of the Supreme can be got only by Krishna. When Bhrigu wanted to see who is God, he went to everyone. He went to Brahma. When Brahma got angry, he went to Shiva. Shiva also got angry for some reasons. But he went and kicked at the chest of Krishna. He's not angry. Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam Padmanabham Suresham. So he Shantakar. He is very, very peaceful person. So who else can have this beautiful name, Mukundaha, except for Krishna? Only Krishna can have this name. Why only he can have this name? Because he is as soft as a flower. His heart is as soft as a flower. Not only face is as soft as a flower, his heart is also as soft as a flower. That is why nobody is worth to have or have the position and the name of the Supreme Lord. So what Brahmaji is doing, just see, water comes, immediately goes and collects it. Because he's also thinking, oh, Lakshmi ji is having so much of fortune to take the dust of the lotus feet of Krishna. What we can do, at least we can sit with our bowls. When Gangaji comes, we can take Gangaji and just place on the head of Shiva. And in this way, Gangaji flows to the whole universe and she purifies the whole universe. Okay. So Baladev Vidya Bhushan, what he writes, let's see. The water which flows from the toenail of the Lord, which acts as arghya water. Arghya means archana. Let's see. The water comes and here Brahmaji does archana. Today we saw in the Chaitanya Bhagavat class what Brahmaji is praying. Brahmaji prays to be counted as a devotee of Krishna. Yes, and what Brahmaji is doing, he takes Gange cha Yamune cha Saraswati Godavari Narmada Sindhu Kaveri Jalasmin Sannidham Kuru Arghya for the worship Pahata, and in this way purified the whole universe along with Shiva. So the meaning of the word Bhagavan cannot apply to anyone other than Mukunda. He is a Lord of everyone. Since the most elevated persons in the universe, Lakshmi, Brahma, Shiva, serve his feet, they point out that he is the supreme. That means technically what is shown, Lakshmi ji is worshipping, Brahma ji and Shiva ji are also worshipping the Lord's lotus feet. That is why this position of the supreme cannot be had by anyone except Mukunda. It is Krishna himself. Okay, Vimla Mataji, read.
Hare Krishna. The conception of many gods in the Vedic literatures by the ignorant is completely wrong. The Lord is one without a second, but he expands himself in many ways, and this is confirmed in the Vedas. Such expansions of the Lord are limitless, but some of them are the living entities. The living entities are not as powerful as the Lord's plenary expansions, and therefore there are two different types of expansions. Lord Brahma is generally one of the living entities, and Lord Shiva is the wire medium between the Lord and the living entities. In other words, even demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, who are the chief amongst all demigods, are never equal to or greater than Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, and all powerful demigods like Brahma and Shiva are engaged in the worship of Vishnu or Krishna. Therefore, who can be more powerful than Mukunda, Lord Krishna, to be factually called the Supreme Personality of Godhead? The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi ji, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva are not independently powerful. They are powerful as expansions of the Supreme Lord, and all of them are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, and so also are the living entities. There are 4 sects of worshipful devotees of the Lord, and the chief amongst them are the Brahma Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, and Sri Sampradaya, descending directly from Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Goddess of Fortune, Lakshmi, respectively. Besides the above mentioned 3 Sampradayas, there is Kumar Sampradaya, descending from Sanat Kumar. All of the 4 original Sampradayas are still scrupulously engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord up to date, and they all declare that Lord Krishna Mukunda is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and no other personality is equal to him or greater than him. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Hare Krishna. Let us see. So 22nd verse. Yatranuraktaha sahasaiva dhira vyapohya tehadishu sangamudham vrajanti tatparamahamsya mantyam yasminnahimso pashamah swadharmah. Yatranuraktaha sahasaiva dhira vyapohya tehadishu sangamudham vrajanti tatparamahamsya mantyam yasminnahimso pashamah swadharmah. Okay. So now yatra anuraktaha, firmly attached. Who is firmly attached? They're talking about Dhira Purusha now. Now Sutta Goswami is speaking about Dhira Purusha. Now see Sutta Goswami, how step by step. First, what did he say? That to glorify Krishna's name, there is no restriction of any birth. Anybody can glorify. Even I have started glorifying because of the mercy of Krishna. That means to glorify Krishna, it requires Krishna's mercy. Okay. Then what has been spoken? The Lord has unlimited potency. Then what has been spoken? That everybody is desiring the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only nobody can equal him. Everyone is waiting. Even Brahmaji is waiting to get the mercy. And he gets the mercy by getting Ganga. Now here, Dhira Purusha. How? So, Dhira Purusha. How? What are the mercy which is given to the Dhira Purusha? How Krishna is flowing the mercy? Krishna is making them attached to him. Dhira Purusha, they are firmly attached to Krishna. Even to get attached to Krishna requires Krishna's mercy. It is not so easy to get attached to Krishna. So now it requires Krishna's mercy, and that is how they could vyapohya. They could leave aside their gross body and subtle mind. That means the demands of the gross body and the subtle mind, whatever related to that. Sangam means attachment. Whatever desires on the level of gross body and the level of subtle body, they can easily give up just because they are attached to Krishna. Paraishanubhava viraktir anyatracha. If you have love for Krishna, automatically viraktir anyatracha, automatically virakti will happen. You don't have to run behind renunciation. This renunciation automatically happens. They go away to attain the highest perfection of the renounced order. How? Because they are attached to Krishna. So automatically they have attained that highest renunciation. And that highest renunciation is ahimsa and vairagya. Ahimsa and vairagya. That means total compassion. And vairagya. Vairagya means completely renounced or completely independent. What is real independence? Being dependent on Krishna. That is real independence. When you say renunciation means you are renouncing everything and you don't want to take up any responsibilities and you are just running away from your duties, isn't it? And that is how the Falgu Vairagya, what they think, Prapanchikataya Buddhya, they think everything is Prapancha, just give up everything and run away. But what is Yukta Vairagya? Anasaktasya Vishyan, Yatharha Upyunjataha, Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagya Uchate. So, what is real renunciation? Anasaktasya Vishyan. You don't have attachment to the material things. But Yatharham Upyunjataha, you are serving Krishna with the things around you. Yatharham Upyunjataha. Nirbandha, you are not attached. Nirbandha, you are not bound. Krishna Sambandhe. Why you are not bound? Because you are using it for Krishna's service, and that is Yukta Vairagya. On the other hand, what is Falgu Vairagya? Prapanchikataya Buddhya. Hari Sambandhi Vastunaha. Even Hari Sambandhi Vastunaha is also considered as Prapancha. Mumukshubi Parityago Falgu Vairagya Katyate. Mumukshubi, they are all so-called Mumukshubi. Mumukshubi means so-called, you can say, munis, those who have their own philosophies. They think that giving up everything, even Hari Sambandhi Vastunaha also, if you give nice prasadam, plate full of prasadam, they will consider that also as material. And they will consider that to be an ordinary food. Because it is Krishna's Uchishta. How can it be ordinary food? So Mumukshubi, so-called learned people, they think that Gyanis, you can say, Mumukshubis are also known as Gyanis, so-called Gyanis, who don't understand that Krishna is Isha Vasamidam Sarvam, everything belongs to Krishna. So Prapanchikataya Buddhya, they have Prapancha, they have so much of material consciousness. So such people cannot understand what is real renunciation. Real independence is dependence on Krishna. That is real independence. So yatra anuraktaha sahasaiva dhiraha, very easy to become because they are firmly attached to Krishna. Anuraktaha vyapohya dehadishu sangamudham. That is why vyapohya means they could easily give up everything which is related to The gross and the subtle body, deha, related. And then vrajanti tatpara parahamsya mantyam. So they attain that highest stage, paramahamsa. Who is a paramahamsa? Who can remove the sara, or who sees Krishna in everything. Stavara jangama dekhe na dekhe tara murti sarvatra hoye nijasya deva smurti. Wherever he is seeing, he is only seeing Krishna's energy. He is seeing Krishna's hands. Stavara jangama. Stavara means fixed. Jangama means movable. So wherever he is seeing, he is only seeing Krishna in that. So that person is Paramahamsa. Parahamsa means Paramahamsa. Paramahamsa means he is like Hansa Purusha. If you give Hansa water and milk, he only takes the water. So he only takes the milk, gives away the water. That means he only takes the good qualities of others. He is not interested in any of the wrong qualities. So such Paramahamsa Atyantam, such nature he attains. Yasmin ahimso pashamam swadharmaha. So in this way, he gets the benefit of means that automatically happens. There is non-violence, that is compassion, and renunciation automatically happens. Okay, Sanjay Prabhu, read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Only the self-control can gradually be attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Self-control means not indulging in sense enjoyment more than is necessary. And those who are not self-controlled are given over to sense enjoyment. Dry philosophical speculation is a subtle sense enjoyment of the mind. Sense enjoyment leads one to the path of darkness. Those who are self-controlled can make progress on the path of liberation from the conditional life of material existence. The Vedas therefore enjoin that one should not go on the path of darkness, but should make a progressive march towards the path of light or liberation. Self-control is actually achieved not by artificially stopping the senses from material enjoyment, but by becoming factually attached to the Supreme Lord, by engaging one's unalloyed senses in the transcendental service of the Lord. The senses cannot be forcibly curbed, but they can be given proper engagement. Purified senses, therefore, are always engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord. This perfectional stage of sense engagement is called Bhakti Yoga. So those who are attached to the means of Bhakti Yoga are factually self-controlled and can all of a sudden give up their homely or bodily attachment for the service of the Lord. This is called the Paramhamsa stage. Hamsas or swans accept only milk out of a mixture of milk and water. Similarly, those who accept the service of the Lord instead of Maya's service are called the Paramhamsas. They are naturally qualified with all the good attributes such as pridelessness, freedom from vanity, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, respectability, worship, devotion, and sincerity. All these godly qualities exist in the devotee of the Lord spontaneously. Such Paramhamsas who are completely given up to the service of the Lord are very rare. They are very rare even amongst the liberated souls. Real non-violence means freedom from envy. In this world, everyone is envious of his fellow being. But a perfect Paramhamsa, being completely given up to the service of the Lord, is perfectly non-envious. He loves every living being in relation with the Supreme Lord. Real renunciation means perfect dependence on God. Every living being is dependent on someone else because he is so made. Actually, everyone is dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Lord. But when one forgets his relation with the Lord, he becomes dependent on the conditions of material nature. Renunciation means renouncing one's dependence on the conditions of material nature and thus becoming completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Real independence means complete faith in the mercy of the Lord without dependence on the conditions of matter. This Paramhamsa stage is the highest perfectional stage in Bhakti Yoga, the process of devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol. Okay, next. Aham hi prushthoriyamano bhavadhi rachaksha atma vagamutra yavan nabha patantyatma samam patatrin तथा समं विष्णुगतिं विपश्चितः अहं हि पृष्ठो अर्यमणो भवद्भ्ये आचक्ष आत्मा भगमोऽत्र यावान् नभ पतन्ति आत्मसमं पतत्रिणस् तथा समं विष्णुगतिं विपश्चितः अहं myself. Prishtaha, you asked me. He's speaking to all this to whom? To the sages of Naimisharanya. And how are you all? Aryamanaha. You're very powerful like the sun. Bhavatpihi. So you asked me. So I'm going to describe. Chakshehe. I'm going to describe the knowledge. Atma avagamaha. I am going to describe the knowledge. But how much? To the extent I have realized. Like the example is given, Nabaha patanti atma samam patatrinaha. So to the extent the bird flies and measures the sky. It can measure the sky to the extent it can fly. The bird, because the sky is limitless, to the extent it can fly, for them that much is the sky. Even to the extent I have realized the knowledge, for me that much is only I understand that much is only the knowledge. But knowledge is also limitless. To the extent a devotee has realized, that much only he should speak. He should not speak more than his realization. In the same way, the measurement of the sky, if you ask a bird, it is only to the extent it can fly. In the same way, the knowledge is spoken to the extent of its realization. So what we read from our Acharya's commentary is the extent of the realization to that knowledge. The Sutta Goswami says, when Sukadeva Goswami is giving the knowledge to Parikshit Maharaj, I was just trying to hold the knowledge or realize the knowledge. It is like the waterfall coming and you standing with the arms, with your palms. You hold the palms like this. To the extent you can hold the water, you feel, oh, this is the water. You cannot hold all the water. To the extent you are holding, it is very wonderful. In the same way, the knowledge flows. To the extent I can grasp, to the extent I can digest, to the extent I can realize the knowledge, that much knowledge only should be spoken. So whatever I have realized, I am going to describe that to all of you. Okay. So that is why they said, whenever there is a class, don't try to hear some class and speak that class. Sometimes people have this habit. Hear the class and just write down the class. And then while giving the class, they will speak whatever they have heard. It is good. Hear, but first digest it, realize it, and speak. Speak in your own words, but it should be again in that boundary. It should not cross the boundary. Don't just directly take somebody's class, very influential speaker's class, then write the notes and then try to speak the class. No, those speakers are never influential to others. You can influence others by your realization. Very important. You cannot influence others by some here and there, some story, somebody to, okay, that story, if somebody else is speaking, that is his realization. So you have to be very careful how to give a class. Now here, Sutta Goswami is telling, you all ask the question, I am giving you the class. How am I going to give the class? How am I going to explain you the knowledge to the extent I have realized that knowledge? He did not mark everything. No, whatever Sukadeva Goswami said to Parikshit Maharaj, I will speak everything. No, you cannot do that. Because Sukadeva Goswami speaks from his realization. You take the essence, Saragrahi, you take the essence, you take the subject and speak with your realization. That is why contemplation on the subject, realizing the subject is more important. It's very important. Though we say, yes, we are parrot of our spiritual master. Yes, we should be the parrot of a spiritual master. And spiritual master is parrot of their spiritual master. In this way, it flows down, it flows up. And everyone is parrot of Srimati Radharani. So then Sukadeva Goswami is a parrot of Srimati Radharani, and he speaks the knowledge, and the sages hear, realize, and give that knowledge. Okay.
Hare Krishna Mataji. The Supreme Absolute Truth is unlimited. No living being can know about the unlimited by his limited capacity. The Lord is impersonal, personal, and localized. By his impersonal feature, he is all-pervading Brahman. By his localized feature, he is present in everyone's heart as the Supreme Soul. And by his ultimate personal feature, he is the object of transcendental loving service by his fortunate associates, the pure devotees. The pastimes of the Lord in different features can only be estimated partly by the great learned devotees. So Srila Sutta Goswami has rightly taken this position in describing the pastimes of the Lord as far as he has realized. Factually, only the Lord himself can describe himself, and his learned devotee also can describe him as far as the Lord gives him the power of description. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So factually, only the Lord himself can describe himself. And his learned devotees also can describe him as far as Lord gives him the power of description. It's up to Krishna, because to understand him automatically requires his mercy. Without his mercy, impossible to understand him. So that is why what is a prayer? The prayer is, oh Lord, make us understand your qualities. And again, it is up to Krishna, whether even if we pray also, it is up to Krishna whether he wants to give us the knowledge or not. Now the story starts. Saunakadi Rishi had asked the description of Krishna in relationship with Parikshit Maharaj's devotion. Ekada dhanurudyamya vicharan mukayam vane muganagutaha shantaha क्षुधितस्तृषितो पृशं जलाशयमचक्षाणः प्रविवेश तमाक्षमं तदर्श मुनिमासीनं शान्तं मिलितलोचनम् एकदा धनुरुद्यम्य विचरन् मृगयां वने मृगाननुगतः श्रान्तः क्षुधितस्तृषितो भृशं जलाशयम् अचक्षाणः प्रविवेश तमाश्रमं तदर्श मुनिमासीनं शान्तं मिलितलोचनम्. Now here Maharaj Parikshit Dhanuruddamya, taking the bow and arrow once upon a time, ekada. Now he was hunting in the forest with bow and arrow. He was going with that bow and arrow. He was hunting Mrugamyam. Vane Mrugan. He was hunting the stags. At that time, he was very hungry. Kshuditaha, Trishitaha. He was hungry and thirsty. He was so fatigued. He was tired. Dhrisham, extremely hungry and thirsty. Jala ashayam. So he was searching for reservoir of water. Achaksha, Achakshanah, chakshushaha we say. Achakshana means searching. Praviveshaha, then he entered a hermitage, ashramam. It was belonging to whom? Shamik Rishi, the Darsha. He saw that Muni, how he was seated, asinam shantam. Asinam shantam. He was peacefully seated. Militta lochanam. He had closed his eyes. So Maharaj Parikshit was hunting with bow and arrow. And he was extremely tired, fatigued, with hunger and thirst. Now, Maharaj Parikshit here is that soul who wanted to relish the nature of Parikshit Maharaj. Like when Vasudev and Devaki appear. At that time, Krushni and Sutapa, they had asked for 3 births. It is not that Krushni and Sutapa became Devaki and Vasudev. They entered the body of Devaki and Vasudev to relish the pastimes of the Parshadas. Parikshit Maharaj is a pure devotee and Parshada of Krishna. So the soul who wants to also relish the pastimes like Parikshit Maharaj is now, that is this Parikshit. And which Parikshit has been spoken, who says, Vayam Trupyamana Uttama Shloka Vikrame. I don't feel any thirst and hunger. How can a pure devotee be fatigued with material hunger and material thirst? So material hunger and material thirst doesn't affect the pure devotees. So here, Maharaj Parikshit, though externally it seems, yes, Maharaj Parikshit entered, he is going to be cut, he is going to get the curse. But we should understand, this Parikshit is the Leela Parikshit, who is just in the Leela. Original Parikshit Maharaj is a pure devotee who has nothing to do with the curse, and nobody can curse a pure devotee. That is what Acharya's commentary is. So now let us see with the Bhauma Leela. Like in the drama, somebody acts like Parikshit Maharaj. This is another drama which is going on. Somebody is acting like Parikshit Maharaj. Went with bow and arrow to hunt the stags, and then was searching the reservoir of water. Enters the hermitage of Shamik Rishi. Sees the Rishi silently sitting, keeping the eyes closed. King enters, then he should open the eyes. No? Now, pure devotee, why is he eager to get such welcome? Somebody should. Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sada Hari, when we say, why Parikshit Maharaj was captivated with all these things? This itself shows that Parikshit Maharaj, now who is displaying this role of Parikshit Maharaj, is a soul who is in this Leela, just Bhauma Leela. It is not the original Parikshit. Okay. Kankanga Chaitanya Prabhu, please read.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी। तात्पर्य श्रील प्रभुपाद जी के द्वारा श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। परमेश्वर अपने शुद्ध भक्तों पर इतने कृपालु हैं कि वे उचित समय पर ऐसे भक्तों को अपने पास बुलाकर भक्त के लिए शुभ स्थिति का निर्माण करते। महाराज परीक्षित भगवान के शुद्ध भक्त थे, अतएव उनके अत्यधिक थकने, भूख तथा प्यास होने की कोई कारण न था, क्योंकि भगवत भक्त कभी ऐसी शारीरिक आवश्यकताओं से विचलित नहीं होता। लेकिन भगवान की इच्छा से ऐसा भक्त भी सांसारिक कार्यकलापों में वैराग्य लेने के लिए अनुकूल परिस्थिति उत्पन्न करने के लिए ऊपरी तौर से थका एवं प्यासा लग सकता है। मनुष्य को भगवत धाम जाने से के पूर्व सारे सांसारिक संबंधों के प्रति आसक्ति का त्याग करना होगा। अतएव जब भक्त सांसारिक मामलों में अधिक तल्लीन रहने लगता है तो वह भगवान ऐसी परिस्थिति उत्पन्न करते हैं कि उसमें उदासीनता उत्पन्न हो जाती है। परमेश्वर अपने शुद्ध भक्तों को कभी भूलते नहीं। भले ही वह तथाकथित संसारिकता में व्यस्त क्यों न हो। कभी कभी वे विषम परिस्थिति उत्पन्न कर देते हैं और भक्त को सारी संसारिकता से वैराग्य लेने के लिए विवश हो जाना पड़ता है। भक्त भगवान के संकेत को समझ लेता है, लेकिन अन्य लोग इसे प्रतिकूल एवं निराशाजनक मानते हैं। महाराज परीक्षित को भगवान श्री कृष्ण द्वारा श्रीमद् भागवत के उद्घाटन का निमित्त बनना था। जिस प्रकार उनके पितामह अर्जुन भगवत गीता के लिए माध्यम बने थे। यदि भगवान की इच्छा से अर्जुन में परिवार के प्रति स्नेह के फलस्वरूप मोह न उत्पन्न होता, तो भगवान द्वारा सर्वजन हितार्थ भगवत गीता का प्रवचन न हुआ होता। इसी प्रकार यदि इस समय परीक्षित महाराज थके, भूखे तथा प्यासे न होते, तो भगवान के प्रमुख अधिकारी श्रील सुखदेव गोस्वामी द्वारा श्रीमद् भागवतम ने कहा गया होता। अतएव यह उन परिस्थितियों का उपकर्म है जिनके अंतर्गत सर्व जन हिताय श्रीमद् भागवतम कहा गया। अतएव यह उपकर्म एकदा अर्थात एक बार से प्रारंभ होता है। थैंक यू।
Okay. So the Purple Prabhupada says that is all Krishna's plan. If this curse would not have been there, then Bhagavatam would not have evolved. Like Arjuna is put in ignorance, that is why Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Pratirudhendriya prana mano buddhim uparatam stanatrayat param praptam brahma bhutam avikriyam. Pratirudhendriya मनोपां स्थानत्रयां प्राप्तं ब्रह्मभूतं अविक्रियम्. So the senses, he restrained sense organs in the inspiration, restrained his manah, buddhi, restrained his Bharata, remained in Hare Krishna. My connectivity, some problem is there. Okay, I'll do with Bale Prabhuji's phone. Very clearly it is said that Muni's sense organs. You are able to hear me? Able to hear? Okay.
Yes.
So इसमें नहीं आया, block हो जाएगा. So the Muni's sense organs, that is his breath, his mind, his senses, he restrained it. He was completely in meditation. That is why he restrained his senses. So that is all given here. And then he was situated in trance. And apart from three, what has been given is apart from three means wakefulness, dream, unconsciousness. So apart from him, though we are awake, actually we are awake in this material world, but he is completely free from this wakefulness also. He is free from the dream. He is free from the unconscious stage. Unconscious here refers to, there is some stage known as where we try to sleep. That sleep is also known as unconscious stage only. Sleep, wakefulness, dream, and in the dream is actually sleep, but unconscious means it is more degraded than the sleep. In the sleep, at least you're dreaming. In the unconscious state, you don't do anything, sushupti, where you are not even dreaming also. You are just lying. So these three stages are there. And he has attained a transcendental position equal to Krishna that has been given. Equal with the Supreme Lord. He is unaffected. Unaffected by living in this material world, while sleeping in this material world, and the whole, when the whole universe is dissolved, at that time a person lies in such a slumber stage that is known as unconscious stage. So he is out of all these things. He is out of all these things. That is why he is completely transcendental to the position, and that equals him with the Supreme Lord that has been given. So this Muni has been described. Okay, Raksha Mataji, read.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम. पटपट पर शिला प्रभुपाद की जय हो. It appears that the Muni in
Your voice is not heard.
whose hermitage, I'm not audible, Mataji.
Yeah, read.
Yeah, ma'am. It appears that the Muni in whose hermitage the king entered was in yogic trance. The transcendental position is attained by three processes, namely the process of jnana or theoretical knowledge, or transcendence, the process of yoga, or factual realization of trance by manipulation of the psychological and physiological and psychological function of the body. And the most approved process of bhakti yoga, or the engagement of sense in the devotional service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita also we have the information of the gradual development of perception from matter to a living entity. Our material mind and body develops from the living entity, the soul and the being influenced by the three qualities of matter. We forget our real identity. The Jnana process theoretically speculates about the reality of the soul, but Bhakti Yoga factually engages the spirit soul in activities. The perceptions of matter is transcendent to still subtle state of the senses. The senses are transcendent to the subtle mind, and then to breathing activities, and gradually to intelligence. Beyond the intelligence, the living soul is realized by the mechanical activities of the yoga system, or practice of meditation, restraining the senses, regulating and breathing the breathing system, and applying intelligence to rise to the transcendental position. This trance stops all material activities of the body. The king saw the Muni in the position. He also saw the Muni as follows. Hare Krishna. Mataji.
Am I audible properly?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
Yes, Mataji.
Viprakirna jata channam. Okay. Rauravena cha dushyatalorakam तथा भूतमया ततः विकीर्ण जटान्नं रौरवेणाजिनेन च विशुच्यतालुरुदकं तथा भूतमया च विप्रकीर्ण means scattered. So how was his hair? It was scattered. in meditation scattered. What he was having? The skin of a stag was covered by the skin of a stag. Rauravinaha. Ajitenaha, skin of a stag. Vishushya Alu. Now the rabbit was dried up. Whose the king's fast dried up. Udakam, he wanted water. And king asked, so when the king asked him the water. Like I have some connectivity problem in my phone. Yeah, now it's okay. Is it okay now? I'm going to check myself.
There is so much noise.
Yeah, I deleted myself. Right? Okay. So the sage was in meditation. He was covered by the skin of a stag, and the hairs were long, scattered all over him. The king, he was very thirsty. He said, somebody first comes now, you should ask water. It was the duty of the sage to ask water. But the sage was so much in trance, he was not aware of his state, whether he is wakeful, whether he is in dream, whether he is in unconscious state. He is not at all aware. He was in trance. That is why king had to ask the water. The king is asking the water, still the sage is in the trance. He is not giving the water. Then what will happen? King will get angry only. No? Now, Parikshit Maharaj would have not got angry. Again, it is all the Bhauma Leela which is going on. Okay, Mohit Prabhu, read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. The king, being thirsty, asked the sage for water. That such a great devotee and king asked for water from a sage absorbed in trance was certainly providential. Otherwise, there was no chance of such a unique happening. Maharaj Parikshit was thus placed in an awkward position so that gradually Srimad Bhagavatam would be revealed. Hare Krishna.
अलप्त तृणभूमि आदेर अलप्त तृणभूमि आदेर असंप्राप्तार्घ्य शुन्त्रः अवज्ञातम् इवात्मानं मन्यमानश्चुकोपः. Now see what happened. The king is asking water and he has not received any reply, any welcome also. A king has come and somebody should welcome. Alabdha, he has not been received properly. Truna bhurni. Now, Truna bhurni adaha. He is sitting in the place of the straw. Still, nobody has received him. Asampraptaha, he has not been received properly. Argyaha, he has asked for water. There is also not given. Shuntaha, not even sweet words has been spoken. They said, whenever somebody comes to your house, if you're not having anything to give, at least speak nicely. First, offer him a place to sit. You don't have a place to sit, at least give water. That also you don't have, at least speak nicely. Sometimes we don't even ask somebody to come inside. So there we keep them in the door only. At least speak nicely. Yes, come till your door. Speak nicely. If possible, call him inside. You cannot call everybody inside. So if you have called somebody inside, then what you should do, you should give him a place. You should give him water to drink. If you're not able to do all these things, at least speak nicely. That is very important. Anyone comes to your door, first speak nicely. This is the culture which has been given. But what happened? It was neglected. Avagyatam. Avagyatam means it was neglected. So what did he do? He was very angry. Atmanam manyamana was thinking like this. What is this? Where is the culture gone? Chukopa. Chukopa means he became very angry. He thought, what is this? I am neglected. So, Atithi Devo Bhava. Atithi Devo Bhava. We consider Atithi. Atithi means one who has not taken your appointment. He has suddenly dropped. If you call somebody and say, tomorrow I'm going to become your Atithi, it doesn't work. You already have given your Tithi to him and you say your Atithi. No, Atithi Devo Bhava means one who suddenly comes without any prior appointment. Then what you should do, you should speak nicely, call him inside, if possible. Not that everybody are going to call inside, and offer water, offer something to eat. But just see the king of the state coming to the ashram of the Brahmana, Shamik Rishi. And this Rishi is not even opening the eyes. In spite of king asking, please give me water. Ears also is closed or what? Yes, he was in such a trance. That is why he was even beyond the state of unconsciousness. He was beyond the state of wakefulness. He was beyond the state of dream. He was completely in trance, absorbed in Krishna. That is why his ears also were closed. Again, this is Bhauma Leela which is going on, where Lord wants Parishit Maharaj to get angry. Put a dead snake around the neck of Shamik. Shringi giving the curse. And Bhagavatam going to be evolved. Okay. Bindu Mataji is there. Read. Bindu, read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. The law of reception in the course of the Vedic principles states that even if any enemy is received at home, he must be received with all respect.
Enemy also.
Yeah, enemy. He should
So
not
you remember who is your enemy and think if he comes to your house. If you think like that, then you're not a devotee, na? Anyone comes, should receive.
No enemy.
Irrespective of enemy or friend. For a devotee, if somebody is an enemy, then that person is not a devotee. Why should he consider him as an enemy? But if somebody is having enmity and enviousness, even that person should be received nicely. Okay, read.
He should not be given a chance to understand that he has come into the house of an enemy. When Lord Krishna, accompanied by Arjuna and Bhim, approached Jarasandha in Magda, the respectable enemies were given a royal reception by King Jarasandha. The guest enemy, namely Bhima, was to fight with Jarasandha, and yet they were given a grand reception. At night, they used to sit down together as friends and guests, and in the day they used to fight, risking life and death. That was the law of reception.
That means what? In the day, in the night sit together, day fight. That is what we do in the temples also. Sit together and have prasad. And then fight with each other. Okay.
The reception law enjoins that a poor man who has nothing to offer his guests should be good enough to offer a straw mat for sitting, a glass of water for drinking, and some sweet words. Therefore, to receive a guest, either friend or foe, there is no expense. It is only a question of good manners. When Maharaja Parikshit entered the door of Shamik Rishi, he did not expect a royal reception by the Rishi because he knew that saints and Rishis are not materially rich men. But he never expected that a seat of straw, a glass of water, and some sweet words would be denied to him. He was not an ordinary guest, nor was he an enemy of the Rishi, and therefore the cold reception by the Rishi astonished the king greatly. As a matter of fact, the king was right to be angry when the Rishi, when he needed a glass of water very badly, To become angry in such a grave situation was not unnatural for the king, but because the king himself was not less than a great saint, his becoming angry was and taking action were astonishing. So it must be accepted that it was so ordained by the supreme will of the Lord. The king was a great devotee of the Lord, and the saint was also as good as the king. But by the will of the Lord, the circumstances were so created that they became ways to the king becoming unattached to family connections and governmental activities, and thus becoming a completely surrendered soul unto the lotus feet of the Lord. The merciful Lord sometimes creates such awkward positions for his pure devotees in order to drag them towards himself from the mire of material existence. But outwardly, the situations appear to be frustrating to the devotee. The devotees of the Lord are always under the protection of the Lord, and in any condition, frustration or success, the Lord is the supreme guide for the devotees. The pure devotees, therefore, accept all conditions of frustration as blessings from the Lord. Hare Krishna Mataji.
So never before he has done anything like this. But now you see what happened. Abhuta Purvaha. Never he has behaved like this, Parishit Maharaj. Even though in the midst of difficulties, he has undergone so many difficulties. But he has never behaved like this. But sahasaha, circumstantially, Abhuta Purva Sahasa Kshuta Trudbhyam अधितात्मनः ब्राह्मणं प्रति अभूत ब्रह्मन् मत्सरो मन्युरेव च सहसा circumstantially hunger and thirst was there and he was completely distressed. So what he did, he was very much angry towards prati against Brahmana. Matsara became also envious. What is that? Which trance has he gone? Something what you don't get, immediately become envious. That is why this word envy is there. Parishit Maharaj was never envious towards anyone. In that enviousness, only that anger also was displayed. So never ever he was angry. But this was some circumstances which was created where he became thirsty and hungry, and because of that he displayed his anger and enviousness. Okay, Aruna, read.
Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. For a king like Maharaja Parikshit to become angry and envious, especially at a sage and Brahmana, was undoubtedly unprecedented. The king knew well that Brahmanas, sages, children, women, and old men are always beyond the jurisdiction of punishment. Similarly, the king, even though he commits a great mistake, it is never to be considered a wrongdoer. But in this case, Maharaja Parikshit became angry and envious at the stage due to his thirst and hunger by the will of the Lord. The king was right to punish his subject for coldly receiving him or neglecting him. But because the culprit was a sage and a Brahmana, it was unprecedented. As the Lord is never envious of anyone, so also the Lord's devotee is never envious of anyone. The only jurisdiction for Maharaja Parikshit's behavior is that it was ordained by the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Okay, the last verse for today. Sato Brahma Rusheramse Gata Sumugaraham Rusha Vinir Gachan Dhanush Kotya Nidaya Purama Gataha. Sato Brahma Rusher Amshe. Amshe refers to shoulder of the Brahmana sage. Gata Asun. We have heard this word Gata Asun. Where we have heard this word Gata Asun? in
नत्वेवाहं जातु नासम्.
नतासुं सोचन्ति पंडितः.
very good. Vitasu. That is second.
अशोचानन्वशोचस्त्वम्. अशोचानन्वशोचस्त्वम्.
Yes, very good. That is why you are now in Vaibhav class. Very good. Bhakti Shastri. Second chapter, which verse? 10th verse. 10th, na? Ashochananvashocastvam pratyavadam shabasham gatasun gatasun nanu shochanti vanditaha gatasun. The life has gone, that's lifeless. Uragam. Uragam means snake. Purusha, he was very angry. Vinirgachan, he just left the dead snake on the shoulder of this Brahmana. Dhanukotyaha, he kept his bow, placed his bow in front. Nidhaya, placing it. He returned. Puram agataha, he returned to his palace. So what did he do? In the anger, he kept a lifeless snake with his bow and angrily placed it on the shoulder. Took the bow. With the bow, he placed the dead snake and he left to his palace. Okay, continue, Aruna.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The king thus treated the sage tit for tat, although he was never accustomed to such silly actions. By the will of the Lord, the king, while going away, found a dead snake in front of him, and he thought that the sage who had coldly received him thus might be coldly rewarded by being offered a garland of a dead snake.
Coldly
In the
rewarded.
ordinary course of dealing, this was not very unnatural. But in the case of Maharaja Parikshit's dealings with the Brahmana sage, this was certainly unprecedented. It so happened by the will of the Lord.
Normal person's dealing is, we can understand. Maharaj Parikshit doing that too for a Brahmana. This is like, you cannot even imagine. Because you're in such a wonderful position, you are a devotee. So that is why cheap behavior of a devotee is never expected. If a devotee has a position, that too, position is the highest position is being a devotee of the Lord, then he should never be envious. And that enviousness, anger is not expected from a devotee. Especially when you have a higher position in the temples, you should be more compassionate. You cannot be envious, you cannot be angry, you cannot have such type of behavior. Now, Maharaj Parikshit behaving like this to a Brahmana was not expected at all because he never did like this before. For a normal person, this is natural. Yes, somebody is insulting you, you also insult and come back. But if you are in a higher position, somebody insulting you, you have to tolerate. Where the tolerance of Parikshit Maharaj went? That is a question raised. Why Parikshit Maharaj was not tolerant? When Ashwathama's Brahmastra came, he was tolerant and he prayed to Lord. The two in the womb. Now, why is it that this tolerance is not seen in Parikshit Maharaj? So the only the answer here is, it is will of Lord. That can be the only answer. There is no other answer. It's only by the will of Lord, because Srimad Bhagavatam has to come. It has to be evolved. Then for that, such scene is created. In this scene, one who is acting as Parikshit Maharaj is not the original pure devotee of Krishna. Again, Acharya's commentary is there in this. Okay. Any doubts? No doubt?
Sir, Mataji,
Yes.
as always. Mataji, I have two questions. One is, when you were describing the three different stages, Mataji, like of sleep, I'm not so clear, and there there is a level of realization also described, meditation rather. That part I'm not clear, Mataji. If you can just repeat it, it will be nice.
Jagruti, Sapnaha, Shushubdi. These are the three stages. Jagruti, seem to be awake. Then you are in the state of a slumber, like sleep. It is also known as, one is known as sapna. In the dream, in the sleep you are dreaming, and one is completely unconscious. You are not dreaming also. So that is a stage when you are in the womb of, or in the stomach of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. That is a stage when you are sleeping. It is unconscious stage. So Shubdi, then Sapna, then Jagruti. And these three stages, even in unconscious stage, suppose somebody is in the unconscious stage, like he goes in coma, that is unconscious. Even in this material world, you can find somebody goes in coma, he's not even dreaming also. That means in the sleep, when you're dreaming, you are doing some activity. Unconscious stage means you're not doing any activity also. You're not doing any activity, you're just acheta, unconscious. Now in this, he is not responding to the sound. Is he wakeful? Is awake? Is he in dream? Or is he completely unconscious? The answer is he's beyond this. He is beyond. Because unconsciousness, he should not awake. He should not be awake. After some time, when his son comes, he opens his eyes. That means he is not acheta. At the same time, he is not dreaming. If he was dreaming, then a little sound, a person awake. Then he opens eyes. But in spite of Parshit Maharaj asking water, he is not opening the eyes. That means he is not sleeping and he is not dreaming. He is not awake also. He is awake. At the same time, beyond wakefulness. That is why beyond these three stages. Sapna, then Jagruti, Sapna, Sushupti.
And then Mataji, even the transcendental position is attained by three processes, namely the process of Gyan or theoretical knowledge of transcendence. Then the second one has been given, the process of yoga or factual realization of trance by manipulation of the physiological and psychological functions of the body, and the most approved process of Bhakti Yoga. That's the third one. So how do they correspond to these three stages, Mataji? Is there any correspondence as such?
Yeah. So here it has been given, the transcendental position is attained by three processes.
Yes.
That is process of Jnana, theoretical knowledge of transcendence, Jnana. Then has been given the process of yoga.
Yes.
Okay. Then Bhakti. Yeah, three. Jnana, yoga, and Bhakti. So, but transcendental position by Jnana. Jnana means first understanding, I'm not the body, I am soul. And then trying to, then he does that much endeavor. Now it is a theoretical knowledge. I'm not the body and soul, I'm not the body and soul. And trying to attain this, for this knowledge, he's doing a lot of austerity. For this, he is doing a lot of austerity. Jnanis do a lot of austerities. Then comes yoga. Physiological, psychological, that means yoga. Yoga here refers to meditating on the Paramatma. And for that also, he has to control his senses and meditate Ashtanga Yoga, come to the stage of Samadhi, understanding our relationship with Lord. That way also he can take. Directly by Bhakti, understanding I am servant of Krishna. There are three processes to get this position. That means becoming transcendental to these three stages.
Mataji, why has Prabhupada used the word factual realization of trance by manipulation of the physiological and psychological functions?
The process of yoga or factual realization of trance.
realization of trance, factual realization of trance by manipulation of physiological and psychological functions of the body. So you are trying to achieve it by your endeavor. See, one is actual realization, where you serve Krishna and you understand your position. Here you are trying to first do it by some processes like asan. For that, yam, asan, pranayam, pratyahara. There are processes involved where you are trying to control your senses. You are trying to control your desires. So in this way, by your endeavor, there is a factual realization. But by bhakti, there is an actual realization.
Yes.
So that is why no yogis, no gyanis can become successful till they come in contact with the bhakta.
Nice. Yeah, nice. Mataji, one more. Just one more. Mataji, in the 28th verse, it is mentioned that one should give very nice reception even to the enemy. And generally I'm good, but once I was not. and I don't know, even after reading this, I feel compunction, but given that situation, maybe I'll behave in the same manner. I don't know. Can there be exceptions to that?
Anyone comes to your place, immediately receive them, love them. That is very important. Whoever, let them be envious of you, not a problem. We actually do that. Anybody is envious of us now, we receive them more nicely.
I may not be able to give the details, but maybe little bit I can, because that incident I have never been able to forget from my life. I don't know how to put it. That person is very, very senior, Prabhupada's disciple. He has a big fan following, and I had received him. He was staying at a place. And then I realized that he was misusing his position, and he misbehaved with many of our devotee guests. And he was misbehaving with me too, like trying to call me alone to him and many such things, which I cannot go into the details. But these kind of things were happening that finally I was forced to say, no, I cannot take it any further.
Sometimes it can happen. Like a person staying at your place and he's not a guest there. Here, Atiti has been spoken. He is taking undue advantage of your reception and he's staying at your place and he's misusing all the facilities given, then you have to kick him out. Simple. Like Kali was kicked out by
Thank God. He really unburdened me.
Kali was kicked out by Parikshit Maharaj.
Yes.
So something wrong, then you have to kick out only. Now we are talking here about the Atithi, one who suddenly appears. There's a lot of difference. One is staying and doing all type of atrocities. Then you have to kick him out. One who has suddenly come and you know that he is your enemy, still you have to receive him. That has been spoken. Receive him here refers, it doesn't refer to that you make him stay in your house. Just receive him and tell him to go.
Krishna. Thank you so much, ma'am.
That will be practical also, na? So this is
Yeah.
a practical. What is spoken is practical only. You receive here, it is but receive, not making stay has been told. Receive him with a proper smile and give him water, give him good reception. And king was not the enemy also, but here Shamik, she did not do that.
Actually, Mataji, I always feel like though we may have read Bhagavatam so many times, but guided reading is always very, very different. Like when we are reading with you, it's very different. It actually helps in realizing so many things. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Who else has to? Over? Okay, he will stop. Panchakalpatarubhyascha कृपासिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानि पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। वैष्णववृन्द की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय।
Hare Krishna, Mataji.